Okay, so we should be live. Just double check everything here. Should be live in the group here, six-figure house flippers. Yeah, and we are. Awesome. Fantastic. Cool. Well, we are live. We are going to be doing a talk here. We, as in me, we're going to be doing a talk here, how to get the best contractors for the best price. So we're going to be talking about that and just breaking it down. A lot of people who want to get started in fixing and flipping are, okay, cool. Like, okay, I want to get it funded. I got a deal. So now what? Now we got to fix up the place and sell it. So now what? So how do I hire contractors? How do I make sure they show up on time? How do I make sure I don't get ripped off? How do I know, if I'm paying the right price? These types of things are common in like beginners' minds as they try to do their first deal, as they try to make this happen for themselves. So I get this question all the time, like, okay, it's typically like a number 3 of what I get. First thing is like, okay, how do I get the money? Second thing is, how do I get the deals? Third is like, how do I get the people to do what they need to do to get the deal done, like to be able to do the repairs so you can sell it for that retail price. So that's really key here. Yes, that's how I look at it in that perspective. What else would I mention here? There's a lot to talk about. A little more background on me. So again, we're going live in this Facebook group, Six Figure House Flippers. If you are watching this live, comment #live. If you're watching this on the replay, comment #replay. And then go ahead and hit the like button or hit the heart button. And what that does is it helps build engagement, so the Facebook algorithm likes it, so it can show it to more people, so more people can learn this great information that we're going to go over here in a second. So comment #live if you're live, and then #replay if you're on the replay. And at the end, I'll also be asking or answering questions. So if you have a question, put it in the comments below. I expect to go here in like 10-15 minutes. I'll probably answer some questions and we'll call it good. So #live, #replay. A little more background on me, and then we'll jump into the nitty gritty. So my name is Victor, if you don't know me. I help run this Facebook group. I flip houses full time. I went full time about 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago, and did about 20 flips last year, 10, 20 fix and flips last year, 30 fix and flips this year is the goal. Currently on track for that. We've bought 12 so far this year. On track for the 30 because I have another, I think I have another 3 under contract, a couple other deals coming up here. So I'm measuring like how many properties I've bought. So 30 is the goal, and on track for that. We're a little past the half of the year right here. So exciting stuff. So I made the leap from full-time, like I was kind of corporate, healthcare, office manager type of, branch manager, administrator, I guess is how I'd say it. There's kind of realized like there's more to life. Just wasn't getting what I wanted, didn't really enjoy it, didn't get where I wanted to go financially. So like, okay, well, I want to make this transition. So I got into real estate, got into wholesaling and fix and flipping, fell in love with fix and flipping, and here I am. Part of the process of me like doing deals, doing the renovations is like really working with the contractors. So when I started, I was a little more do-it-yourself. Like I would help out with the painting, I would help out with the flooring, I would help out like with the demo, like the little things I would help out. I wouldn't touch electrical, I wouldn't touch roofing, anything more mechanical, I wouldn't really touch. And I quickly found out, like, wait a second, so my best time is actually out there to be spent like finding deals, finding money spent elsewhere. Because I found out like 2 things. So one is like the contracting work for me to do it, like it wasn't really good. So that's the problem. And the second thing is like it's really time consuming. So that was the issue I was running into. Like, hey, if I want to do consistent deals, or scale, or do or earn more, like I need to like do something. I can't just do the work myself. So then it made sense like, okay, now how to hire contractors. So I went through a lot of trial and error when it comes to contractors, and I've come up with a couple like principles here, and this is what I'm going to share with you guys here. So first thing, I think there's a misconception, and people always ask me like, what's a great place to find contractors? And I just want to mention, like, there's no magical website, there's no magical anything where you can find great contractors to do work. It just doesn't exist. Like, I found great contractors on Craigslist. Maybe they had their phone number on their car and I called them, or through a referral, or through, just like a partner, or, there's a lot of different ways, or like at a RIA meeting, like a local real estate investor meeting. And there's not one place that I've found all these people. It's all just like all over the place, all kind of random. So that's a misconception people have. Like, oh, what if I try to find someone on Thumbtack? If you're not familiar, Thumbtack is like a service that helps you match, or like an Angie's List. Angie's List, people probably know that one more. Like, oh, should I find people on Angie's List? And like the answer is like yes, but that's not the entire story. So that's like the first thing I want to cover here. The first thing, number one thing here, is like there's no magical place to like find contractors. So hopefully that's the key here. That's the first thing here. The second thing is like people, and I'll get to this here more, like people are going to attract people who they're like. So if you are showing up on time, if you are easy to work with, if you are paying people on time, you're likely going to like see that reflection in your contractors. So I see this all the time where like people are dealing with like contractor issues, and they're like, oh, the contractor doesn't show up on time, and they don't do the work like they're supposed to. And then you look at them in their personal life, and you see like they don't show up like they're supposed to. They're basically just reflecting these exact same issues. So like before, I have like other techniques like how to source these people, don't get me wrong, but like at a core, you have to figure out like where you're at, where you're coming from, because that's just going to be reflected into reality. So if you can imagine like the best contractors have the opportunity to, especially in today's marketplace, to work with anybody they want, because there's so high demand for their work. They can just choose who they work with. So if you are not showing up on time, not paying them properly, hard to deal with, just a pain, then like, why would they work with you? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, they won't work with you. So then you're not left with the best, you're left with like bottom tier folks. So that's like the first thing. So by improving yourself and like improving like, hey, I can, like, you got to improve the way you operate, like how you do business. And by doing that, like first, the rest is going to really fall into place. So that's what I've seen. Just because like if you're, taking care of them, they're going to take care of you. Just that law of reciprocity. So that's what I really want to start with. Before you get into the tactics, like, oh, I need to call them, and I need to, this contractor isn't getting back to me. Just at a baseline, just figure out like where you're at. Like if you're actually being a good customer, to get good contractors, you have to be a good customer. So let's start with that. That's important. To get in some of the nitty gritty here, there's something that I teach called the leapfrog method. So how this came about, I'll tell the quick story, then I'll explain how it works, called leapfrog method. So leap like a frog leaps from lily pad to lily pad here. So leapfrog. So what happened? So I was in the middle of wrapping up renovation on a house. So we had the house under contract. We're going to close in 2 days. And last minute, so the buyer did a final walkthrough. So they did a final walkthrough. They're like, oh, the thermostat and the heating doesn't work in the HVAC system. Like, hey, the HVAC system doesn't work. You need to fix this or we can't close. And I had some other properties I was buying. So like, I need to fix this thing because I got some other properties. So I need to get this money to buy those other properties so I can keep my money rolling. So I called up my typical like HVAC person. I said, hey, I got to close this in 2 days. Can you get out and do this? He's like, no, I'm booked out like 3 weeks. It's like, oh shit. Okay. So this isn't going to work. So then I employ the leapfrog method. So basically I said like, who else do you know that could help me out here? And then he gave me the contact information from another HVAC guy. So I called that HVAC guy, and he got back to me, and I asked him like, okay, hey, this is the situation. I'm trying to sell this house. I got to close in 2 days. Can you help me fix this? He's like, actually, I can't. I can go there on the weekend. This was like a Wednesday or like a Tuesday. He's like, I can go there on a weekend. And I was like, that's not going to work because I don't want to delay closing just to fix this like little HVAC heating issue. So, okay, so then I said, okay, well, this isn't going to work. Appreciate you letting me know. Who else do you know that could help me out here? And then he connected me with another company, and I called the company. I said, hey, I got to, fix this HVAC issue. Can you please help me out? They said, yes, we can. And I was like, okay, when can you get out there? Like, we can get out there today. I was like, hell yeah, that's awesome. Great. So they got out there that day. It was some minor thing. I think like the thermostat wasn't connected properly. Like it wasn't on, something dumb. So it was like $80 to fix it, just the service charge, service call charge. So that's totally fine. But then we got it done. So I got it done. We were able to close on time, got the deal funded. I was able to do more deals just because I like to turn my properties. And that's leapfrog method. So the basis is like people, I talked about this is why I mentioned the character thing earlier. Like people associate with people who are like themselves. So if you know HVAC guys, like they're going to know other HVAC guys. Or if you know a plumber, they are going to know like electrical people. So if you ask them like, who else do you know who could help me out with this? You're going to be able to get some recommendations. And just by doing that enough, like making enough of those jumps, you're going to get what you need. You're going to get what you need. So that you can really build your network, even if they're not going to be able to help you out. Like for me, I have, 4 or 5, I think like 4 to 8 good HVAC techs in my network. So anytime I need some work, I can, call that people. But I was able to build that through the leapfrog technique. It's like, building it out that way. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Final thing here, and then I'll kind of open it up to questions. That's leapfrog. I know in sales and marketing, there's always the concept of a funnel. There's always a concept of a funnel. So you have, people, let's say you call 100 people, 50 people pick up, 20 people talk to you, 10 people are interested in your service, and you sell 3 of them. So there's always that concept of a funnel in sales and marketing. I would like to apply the same thing when it comes to contractors, especially nowadays. You're just playing around with those numbers. So a lot of beginners make the mistake where they call one plumber and the plumber says, oh, I'm booked out for 3 months. Sorry, I can't get to it. And then the beginner then thinks to themselves like, oh, everyone's so busy. Everyone's so booked out. I'm not going to be able to get this done. And the problem with that thinking is like you've only had one conversation. So it's hard to base like the entire industry or base like everyone's schedule based on this one conversation. That's a mistake I see a lot of beginners make. It's like, okay, well, I can't find anyone to do my plumbing. Like, how many people have you talked to? I've talked to 1. Well, okay, so then you need to talk to more people. Same thing, like the funnel applies to contractors as well. So I would recommend like try to contact 20 people, like 20 different, let's use the plumbing example, 20 different plumbers. 10 will bother to get back to you or pick up the phone. 5 will get out for quotes. 5 will get out for quotes. 3 of the quotes will be like reasonable, and then you can pick the best one. But the point is like start tall, start at the top with a big number. Like 20 is a great number. You can find 20 contractors, Craigslist, Google, like RIA meetings, referrals, references, all that stuff. So talk to 20, and then you'll boil it down to the best one. So that's key. So same for pricing too. I've seen for specific like contracting bids, just like let's take the plumbing for example. I've seen different bids like, oh, this guy's at 15K, this guy's at 8K, this guy's at 5K. And there's a lot of difference there. That's why I want to get lots of quotes. You just don't want to take the first quote because then you might just be overpaying for sure. And there's a lot of nuance that goes into like what's a good price for a repipe or what's a good price for this, price for that. It's a time comment for another time here. But hopefully that makes sense. I'll open up to questions. So if you guys want to drop your questions in the comments below, I am here to help. So I did a quick intro, like why is it important to have contractors, why contractors are important if you want to scale and do more of this and not be like tied into the specific properties. I talked a little bit about my background and how I've been able to do that. I've mentioned like there's no magic place for contractors. Like you can find them all over. So you always got to have your eyes open. I also mentioned like you have to come from a strong personal character and background first, and then you'll be able to attract those contractors. I talked about the leapfrog method. Then we talked about like the funnel and why it's important to have that sort of mentality when it comes to this. So that in mind, let's open up to questions. If there aren't any questions, we can just wrap it up early. We have Raphael who says #live. Thank you, Raphael, for joining. Barbara says leapfrog, great idea. Thank you so much. We have 15 comments. I don't see all the comments. We got a couple likes. Thanks, Jamar. Thanks, Carl. Okay, we had 2 questions from Mona. I don't know why it's not showing me all the comments. That's so weird. Huh. How to get the contractor to fulfill this agreement, especially when it comes to time frame. Ooh, that's a tricky one. So the biggest thing, so first I would say like you have to have a reasonable time frame to get a project done. So if you say like, okay, I need new flooring, new paint, new kitchen, and I'm going to give you a week to do it, that's going to be tight. But part of this is like the experience and the knowledge, like knowing how long things take. So I would start with that, like really, oh, the question went away. How to work with timelines. So I would set something up like that, where like you know how long it's going to take. So if you have something like that, like paint, flooring, kitchen, based on how quick you are, you can probably knock that out in about 2 weeks, if that's it. 2 weeks to 4 weeks, I'd give yourself. So just make sure, like first off, have a reasonable time frame. And that comes from experience, or tapping into experience, i.e. a mentor type of thing. Oh, it keeps, every time someone comments, like it kicks it out, so I don't see the question. So that's how I'd work with a timeline, and then make sure, like I would check in at least weekly just to make sure they're on track. So if it's like if let's say you give them a 4-week time frame, and it's week 3 and they haven't started, like that's not good. So just managing it. This is like the basics of management, like making sure they're on track, like making sure what has to happen, and just being there on site to ensure that does happen. Hopefully that answered your question, Mona. It kind of disappeared with the question here, so sorry about that. You also mentioned how to partner with a contractor. So I've considered this in the past. I guess I haven't technically done it yet, although I'd be open to it. I've had some contractors ask if they want to partner. With any sort of partnership, like you just want to understand like what you're giving and what you're getting. So if you were to partner with a contractor, okay, great. What's the arrangement? Like, are you putting in the money and they run the deal, and then like you guys split the profit? Like, what do you get out of it that's above and beyond like a typical deal? Is it that the contractor, like their labor is for free and then you guys split the profit? So you just need a little more like detail there. Or do they want to put in some of the money? Then you guys can split the profit that way. Overall, I like the idea of having someone who can do the work and who has skin in the game, but you just need a little more detail. Like, what does that look like? You know, what do you expect of me? What do I get in return? What can I expect of you? But I'd say overall, I'm open to it, and you could be too. Great. I think Baruch had a question, but it escaped me here. It's so weird. It doesn't. Yeah, I need to figure that out. Baruch was saying that you only work with licensed people. I'd say it depends. It depends on the work. Like if it's a roof, like, yeah, you should have someone licensed. If you're like switching out, like, I don't know, you're switching out like a ceiling fan or something like that, I don't know if they necessarily have to be licensed. But I would say it just depends on the work, honestly. If you go with someone licensed, obviously it's going to be more. Or something like painting, like a licensed painter. Like, for me, like I don't use a licensed painter, to be honest. I don't think they do licensing for that. So just to understand, for more like the mechanical stuff, like electrical, HVAC, plumbing, roofing, I would recommend someone with that background or that license. For some of the like easier stuff, even like a demo, like, hey, or mowing the lawn, like landscaping, like I don't think you need licenses for that. So I wouldn't worry about that there. Jorge says, you rock, Victor. I appreciate that. Oh, does Baruch I asked if you only work with licensed people. I guess I work with both. Just to answer your question, like for like lawn mowing, I don't think the gentleman, I have a couple people and I don't think they're licensed, nor should they be. When you never discover an issue before closing, isn't it the responsibility of the contractor or tech who did the work initially with no extra cost? It depends on your agreement, and it depends on like the contract. Like if he said in his scope of work or in his initial bid, like, hey, I'm going to take care of A, B, C, and you're about to close it and there's an issue with B, I would say as long as it's within that initial scope of work, it's on them. So I would just keep it simple that way. So if they said they were going to fix ABC, they need to fix ABC. And then you need to hold them accountable, hold them responsible for it. And part of the process is like you got to sell yourself, especially if you're going to be an active fix and flipper. Like the benefit you have to these folks is like you're not just going to give them one deal like a typical homeowner, give them one project and never see them again. Like you're giving them consistent work. So you have to make sure to sell yourself like, hey, make sure you do a good job for me because it's not just this one. I want to use you in the future and be great if we can have this working partnership and you don't have to go out there and hunt for new deals or new bids or new quotes. Like you can just work with me and just get consistent work. So you do have to sell yourself a little bit. It didn't used to be like that years ago, but especially with Corona and how hot the market is, like you do have to sell yourself. I used to think that it was apparent, like, hey, people know I'm a fix and flipper. People know I'm going to give them future deals. That's actually not the case. So you do have to like sell yourself. You do have to share like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is the vision, and that they'll be on board. Like for me, trying to sell myself like, hey, the goal is 30 flips this year. Like I want you on board for everyone. If you do great work is like a really strong pitch versus someone who's like a homeowner, like, hey, I just want someone to renovate my kitchen. So it's like, it's totally different. So you get that respect, especially once we want to hit six-figure house flipping, that's 3-4 a year. That can keep someone pretty busy. That can keep someone earning pretty well. Sorry, says Baruch, FB live format for Q&A is not a great one. Yeah, I'll have to figure it out. I don't know how other people do it. I just don't see the question. There's 24 comments. That's great. Appreciate y'all hopping on here. But I don't see, I'll have to figure that out. But okay, Jason asks, when do you recommend working with the GC versus subcontractors? Walk me through that decision process. Yeah, so there's really like, as I see it, there's basically 3 models of how to do this. So the first is do it yourself. Like you do the painting, you do the flooring, you do the work. That costs you time, saves you money. The middle is more like a project manager hiring subs type of model. So like you hire a painter, does the painting, you pay him. You hire a flooring guy, does the flooring, you pay him. So that's kind of the middle route. The GC route is like you pay one person and they take care of everything A to Z. And that's how it's typically done that way. That one saves you time, but costs you money. So out of those 3 models, like there's no correct answer. So you just have to think through like, okay, what matters to you most? What do you value most? Do you value time? Do you value money? So you just have to look at it that way. So just figuring out like what makes the most sense for you. So if you're swamped and busy and you can't even, have any time to do anything, it would make sense to go more GC. If you say, hey, I have some weekends open, I got a little bit of time in the evenings, all that good stuff, you can like, okay, I'll do maybe the middle route or the do-it-yourself route. So it's really a personal decision. There's a lot of pros and cons, but that's really just a value choice. Like, do you value time? Do you value money more? Hopefully that was helpful. Very cool. Well, that's all the questions that I see. I'll go in afterwards and ask you guys, more questions. Hopefully this was valuable. People always ask me about the contractor side of things, and I just want to make this to answer some of those questions. There's a lot more that I do and that I teach. So more background on me. Again, I do the fixing and flipping full time. I also mentor people nationwide, like how to get your first flip, how to hit 6 figures flipping, how to get the money, how to get the deals, how to run your numbers, how to work with contractors. Kind of give you a taste of my knowledge with the contractors here. There's a lot more that I do and teach. So if you're interested, just reach out to me, shoot me a personal message here on Facebook. We can reach out, see if it's a good fit. Might be a good fit, might not be a good fit, but at least want to put that option out there. So appreciate it, guys. I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much. If you have any questions and you're watching this on the replay, feel free to drop it below and I'll do my best to answer. But yeah, appreciate it, guys, and have a nice night.